with certain activities being classified as illegal, such as the act of smuggling illegal goods like drugs, guns, and many more objects. Smugglers had to get a little more creative to avoid getting caught and doing prison time. These activities were obviously made illegal for good reason, such as it being dangerous and capable of ending people's lives. With that said, you would think people would not take part in these activities. I wish it could have been that easy. However, that's not the case. Get ready to get your mind blown with the most unbelievable and creative ways people have tried to smuggle drugs across the borders. Number 1. Cigarettes inside tree trunks. Russian smugglers were trying to think of a way to smuggle cigarettes, manufactured in Belarus, to Poland, which would then be moved to Germany and then the UK. They decided that one of the best methods should be to hollow out tree trunks and stuff packets inside. But they probably didn't take into thought that the real trees will be a lot heavier than those stuffed with cigarettes. Customs officers at the Ukrainian-Polish border decided to carry out a check, and discovered that one of the tree trunks have been hollowed out. On closer inspection, they noticed that loads of them have been hollowed out. They said it was almost impossible to tell the difference, but the weight was a dead giveaway that something wasn't quite right. Inside 27 tons of timber, 55 tree trunks were tampered with, and contained 25,000 packets of cigarettes. The find was made on the Ukrainian side of the border, and guards used chainsaws to cut into the logs. The cigarettes were tightly packed inside. Number 2. An ambulance. A supposed ambulance company was set up in Holland for running a drug smuggling operation, which involved men posing as paramedics and using bogus patients to make their cover more authentic. Drugs were hidden in cabinets aboard the ambulance. Number 3. Inside a pineapple. In April 2017, 9 people were arrested for smuggling drugs inside of fresh pineapples. In a joint task force involving Portugal and Spain police, a drug shipping operation based out of Portugal was halted. The drug smugglers were hollowing out fresh pineapples and filling them with plastic bags containing cocaine. It was believed that they had been using this method for months, undetected by Spanish authorities. At the time of the bust, over 1,000 pineapples containing 745 kilograms of cocaine were seized. The drugs had an estimated street value of $22.4 million. Number 4. Molded into a cast. In March 2009, a 66-year-old Chilean man was arrested at the Barcelona airport in Spain for attempting to smuggle cocaine into Spain. The man attempted to pass through customs walking on crutches, due to a casted broken leg. The man was escorted to have an X-ray done, when Spanish authorities noticed discrepancies in the cast. It appeared that the cast wasn't made out of a dense material like plaster, but rather a different type of material. The authorities performed a test to determine what material the cast was made of, and it turned positive for cocaine. Upon further inspection of the man's luggage, they found he was also carrying 6 beer cans and 2 hollowed-out stools that had cocaine inside of them. After arriving at the hospital, it was found that the man genuinely had a broken shin. And it is believed that he purposefully broke his shin, so he could use the cast to smuggle drugs. Well, that's a real dedication to one's work, won't you say? He was found to be in possession of 11 pounds of cocaine, with an estimated street value of over $500,000. Number 5. Inside art. In January 2017, the United States Customs and Border Protection Department intercepted a statue of a snail in the mail destined for Cincinnati, Ohio. Upon breaking the statue open, the officials discovered a plastic bag containing over 50 pounds of methamphetamine. The package was shipped from Mexico and was labeled as Mexican Stone Crafts. The drugs had an estimated street value of $100,000. There has been no arrests in the case to date. Drugs can also be hidden in other forms of art, such as paintings. In March 2020, United States Customs Border Protection officials discovered more drugs being smuggled through religious paintings. A crate full of 8 paintings was seized, and upon drilling into the picture frames it was discovered they were filled with methamphetamine. Officials found a total of 9.2 pounds distributed between the paintings, with an estimated street value of $16,000. Number 6. If you can't handle animal cruelty, you might want to skip on to the next one. In February 2006, the United States Drug Enforcement Agency arrested 22 Colombian nationals for attempting to smuggle heroin into the United States. Officials say that the men surgically implanted the drugs into puppies in hopes of evading detection. The men were able to bring over 20 kilograms into the United States by slitting open the puppies and inserting the drugs into their body cavities. Unfortunately, 3 puppies died from complications involving having the packages inserted inside of them. The estimated street value of the heroin was over $20 million. Fun fact, the war on drugs goes all the way back to 1914, however the golden age of smuggling and drugs was in the late 1980s and 90s. Number 7. Airplanes. In September of 1985, a smuggler named Andrew Thonen II was flying hundreds of kilos of cocaine from Colombia into the United States. However, Andrew got worried that the authorities were tracking his flight, so he dumped hundreds of pounds of cocaine out of the plane into the forest of Georgia. Then he jumped out of his plane with a parachute. Unfortunately for Andrew, his parachute malfunctioned and his body was later discovered along with 75 pounds of cocaine, a couple of handguns and thousands of dollars in cash. Much of the cocaine he threw out of the plane, however, ended up being found and eaten by a huge bear. And this story has now become the inspiration for a Hollywood movie called Cocaine Bear. Number 8. Inside breast implants. On February 2016, German border officials arrested a Colombian woman at the Frankfurt airport in Germany, bound from Colombia. She was found to be carrying 1 kilogram of cocaine hidden inside of her breast implants. The German officials found fresh scars below the woman's breasts, indicating she had recently undergone surgery to have the drugs implanted. Shortly after being arrested, she was sent to a local hospital, where doctors removed 2 500-gram packages from her breasts, each containing cocaine. Number 9. Strapped to pigeons. In May 2017, Kuwait officials apprehended a pigeon, carrying drugs strapped to its back in a miniature backpack. The pigeon was found in Abdali, close to the Iraqi border. A total of 178 pills containing ketamine were found on the pigeon. Ketamine is an anesthetic that is also commonly used as an illegal party drug. Customs officials had received information beforehand, indicating that pigeons were being used to smuggle drugs, but this was the first time that officials had caught the bird in the act. Number 10. In toys, a Mr. Potato Head to be exact. In October 2007, the toy was used in an attempt to smuggle drugs. The toy was sent in a package departing Ireland, heading to Australia. When scanning the package, Australian border officers were greeted with the smiling face Mr. Potato Head. Upon opening the toy, the officers found almost 10.5 ounces of ecstasy wrapped in a plastic bag. Number 11. Gold, inside soap. Customs officials seized gold worth around $312 that a passenger had concealed inside a bottle of chocolate syrup and 4 soap bars. The man was arrested after the discovery. They have gone through great lengths to hollow out the soap bars and wrap the gold in packets to fill the gaps. So at number 12 they proved to us that it's not just cash, drugs, and gold that gets smuggled from one place to another. It can also be animals. A 22-year-old Norwegian man had been pulled aside for a spot check when customs officers noticed a tarantula spider cruising around one of his bags. This was a red flag for the customs officers, who pulled the man aside to do a more thorough check. They may have expected a few more spiders, but they discovered a whole lot more than that. Instead, the man had 14 non-venomous royal pythons rolled up in socks and taped around his body, but that wasn't all. Each of his legs had small tins strapped to them. each containing a single albino leopard gecko. Number 13. Man inside a car seat. In March, an 18-year-old U.S. girl was stopped at the border. Unknown if something might have seemed off to the officers, because they sent the girl in her vehicle for further inspection. On the surface, nothing seemed amiss. However, once officers got the K-9 units involved, they were very interested in the rear seat. Underneath the rear seat cushions, in a compartment which they described as non-factory, was a 48-year-old Mexican man. Number 14. Phone strapped to a body. A lot of things are banned in China, like violent video games and fireworks. However, something you won't expect to be banned is the act of smuggling phones. Phones and electronics tend to be far more expensive in mainland China than in regions nearby, like Hong Kong. So to save some money, some people pay other people to smuggle phones into mainland China, or they do it themselves. In 2015, a man was arrested at the Chinese border with 94 phones strapped to his body. He used plastic bags and tape to strap the phones to his body. Apparently, officers noticed he was walking funny and decided to search him. I for one think this is a little unnecessary. I mean, it's not like these people are harming anyone, they are just trying to save a few bucks. Number 15. Hidden in screws. Authorities at Argentina found cocaine hidden in tiny screws, carried by a man flying from Buenos Aires to South Africa. In total, the man had 20 grams of cocaine hidden among the screws and other items on his person. If you enjoyed this video so far, please hit that like and subscribe button, I will really appreciate it. Number 16. Carpets. A weed smuggling gang rolled the drugs up in carpets. They forgot that dogs will still be able to smell it though. Number 17. Tunnels. The entrance of this tunnel was found underneath a bathroom sink, inside a warehouse in a bordering Mexican town in 2012. The tunnel was 600 yards and even lighted and ventilated. Wow, I wonder how the smugglers dug themselves out of this one. While it might seem as a crazy way of smuggling, it's not actually that uncommon. In fact, the first smuggled tunnel was found in the 1990s, and over 125 of them have been discovered since then. This was drug lord and most wanted man in the world at one time, El Chapo Guzman's favorite way of smuggling. He even escaped prison in 2015 using tunnels. If you would like to know more about his insane prison escape, you can check it out in one of my other videos, Craziest Prison Escapes of All Time. I'll leave the link in the description down below. Number 18. Anal lube steroids. More 150 bottles of banned liquid steroids was disguised as sex lubricant from Thailand have been seized by customs officials. Number 19. Inside a submarine. In September 2019, the United States Coast Guard and Colombian naval assets captured a 40-foot-long submarine in the Pacific Ocean bound for American soil. The Coast Guard found the submarine to be carrying 12,000 pounds of cocaine with an unbelievable estimated street value of $165 million. 4 Colombian citizens were aboard the submarine during the seizure and were arrested. They have each been charged with 2 counts of possession of cocaine with intent to distribute. This method of smuggling had become increasingly popular in the last several years. Submarines are extremely expensive and are typically only used by top drug smugglers working for cartels. In June 2018, the Coast Guard seized another submarine carrying 17,000 pounds of cocaine. These are just 2 of the 14 drug smuggling vessels that have been intercepted by the Coast Guard this year. The 14 vessels that were intercepted held a combined total of 39,000 pounds of cocaine and 993 pounds of marijuana. They had a combined street value of over $569 million. The largest bust of a submarine smuggling operation was a staggering 7.7 tons of cocaine. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share.